Once Mercedes decided to go electric, it started introducing new EVs with impressive regularity. Of those, the EQS sedan has been the most important as the automaker pits the EV against its own S-Class gas-powered vehicle. Of course, then it remembered that people really like SUVs. So of course, it made one of those too. This is the awkwardly named Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV, and they're not very subtle about that naming. It's exactly what it is. It's the SUV version of the EQS. And what it has, besides just, well, slapping SUV on the end of the name, is that it's, well, nicer than the EQS sedan. Let's talk about one of the most important aspects of any S-Class in the Mercedes-Benz lineup, and that is the rear seats. And sure, we're going to talk about the driver's experience of this vehicle, but first and foremost, Mercedes-Benz S-Classes, they want to pamper the passengers. The rear seats of the EQS SUV deliver on the Mercedes-Benz promise of luxury. The seats are comfortable, you can adjust them, which is nice, backwards and forwards. Plus, there is all the sort of tech that you could possibly want in the back of the vehicle. You have its own climate controls, you have heated seats, you have these optional tablets so you can control the navigation, you can control media, you can control your own media, and you can listen to music with these Bluetooth headsets. Plus, if this screen isn't enough, there's also an additional tablet right here in the little center armrest. You can use this tablet to control, well, a lot of the aspects of the vehicle. But really the most important part of this vehicle, what sets it aside from EQS sedan, is headroom. The EQS SUV has plenty of headroom. Meanwhile, the sedan, not so much. Now that we know that the rear passengers will be fine, well, better than fine, let's move on to the rest of the vehicle. The EQS SUV is available in 3 flavors. The rear-wheel drive 450 Plus that I'm driving right now, plus a 450 with all-wheel drive, and then there's the more powerful all-wheel drive 580 4MATIC. The 450 Plus has 355 horsepower and 419 pound-feet of torque. Meanwhile, the 580 4MATIC has 536 horsepower and 633 pound-feet of torque. So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I should just get the more powerful SUV, maybe stop yourself. The rear-wheel drive 450 Plus has a range of 305 miles. The 450 and 580 4MATIC both have 285 miles of range. Also, the 450 Plus starts at $104,400. The all-wheel drive 450 starts at only $3,000 more at $107,400. Meanwhile, the 580 4MATIC, that will set you back $125,950. So you can get all-wheel drive for a bit more money, but if you want more power, you're going to have to be on the hook for $20,000 more. The thing is that this 450 Plus with rear-wheel drive, it's plenty powerful for most drivers. And yes, I have driven the 580 4MATIC, and yes, it is fun. And if you absolutely positively have to have power, fine, go for it. But this vehicle, the 450 Plus, it has the range. As an EPA estimated 305 miles of range. In my range test on a very cold day for Northern California, it was 30 to 35 degrees. I got 285 miles of range out of this vehicle, which is pretty good considering how cold it was. And if you really absolutely positively have to have all-wheel drive, you can get the 450 4MATIC. All the EQS SUV variants have a 108.4 kilowatt hour capacity battery pack, and they're all based on a 400 volt architecture. Now, Mercedes-Benz hasn't jumped to an 800 volt platform yet, but they are pushing the limits of that 400 volt system. This vehicle will charge at 200 kilowatts at a compatible DC fast charger. Mercedes-Benz says you can go from 10 to 80% in about 31 minutes, which is about the time it takes to eat a quick lunch. While this vehicle does have adequate power, there is one feature that is on all the EQS lineup that drives me absolutely bonkers, and that is the brake pedal when you're using regenerative braking. It moves. It moves in relation to how the vehicle thinks you would have depressed the brake pedal while regenerative braking is on. So as I remove my foot from the accelerator, the brake pedal moves towards the floorboard, just a little bit. And it's not a lot, but it's enough to just be annoying, and I just have not gotten used to it, no matter how many of these vehicles I've driven. What I do like is the new intelligent regenerative setting. It uses the vehicle's sensors for adaptive cruise control and the route that the EQS SUV is driving to determine just how much regenerative braking to apply when you lift your foot off the accelerator. And unlike the moving pedal, you actually get used to this pretty quickly, and it always slowed the vehicle appropriately. One of my favorite things about the EQS lineup is the standard 10 degrees of rear steering. This rear wheel will turn up to 10 degrees left or right, which makes it great for U-turns, but also really nice when you're trying to pull into tight spots in parking lots. Meanwhile, though, those sensors do help deliver one of the best driver's assistance suites in the industry. Mercedes-Benz is really doing a really great job of making sure that driver's assistance works with you and isn't jarring. Cut-ins are met with nice, smooth deceleration. When someone moves out of your way, it accelerates very smoothly. It doesn't just take off. Lane centering, one of the best in the business. It keeps the vehicle in the lane, even on very tight corners on the freeway. Yeah, it's top notch, and it's no wonder that they're already working on level 3. Here in the front of the vehicle, we have the optional 56-inch hyper screen. It's actually 3 different screens. You have the dash cluster here, you have this gigantic infotainment system, and then you have a passenger screen. The infotainment system, the screen is so large, the display is so large that this much of the display is obstructed by the steering wheel. I can't see this much of the display. So Mercedes, what they've done is they moved everything over just a little bit. But if you're using CarPlay or Android Auto, they don't take that into account, so you lose this much of the screen. You have to sort of peek around to see it. It's not a big deal, but maybe they could have just made the screen a little bit smaller. And then there's the passenger screen, and I've tried to sell this to actually multiple passengers. Multiple people have gotten into this car. I've tried to sell them on using it. I tell them they can adjust the navigation, they can set up their own media, they can wear a Bluetooth headset, and frankly, people don't care. And after a few minutes, they just start using their phones. The Mercedes MBUX infotainment system is still top notch. I'm a big fan. A few vehicles ago, they introduced Zero Layer, which essentially just gives you the map plus some widgets for things that you might be doing, your navigation, your media controls, whether or not your phone is connected. Now, if you miss the classic Mercedes look, you can just hold down the home button and you can see the classic system where you have all the little apps along the bottom. But I prefer Zero Layer. It just shows me the things I need to see. And because my phone has been on the fritz for the last few weeks and CarPlay just crashes like there's no tomorrow, I have found that I haven't really missed it. MBUX's navigation and media controls are great. And of course, there's the voice assistant where I can control, well, almost everything. Hey, Mercedes.
How can I help?
Turn on the massage seats for the driver. See, I don't have to go looking for things. The car will just do things for me if I yell at it. I do miss physical climate and audio controls. The capacitive touch volume controls are especially annoying, and I just can't get the sound level correct without a few tries. But even with the awkward braking and the weird volume controls, the EQS SUV does a better job delivering Mercedes-Benz luxury than the EQS sedan. Plus, you can take it off-road if you're so inclined. And finally, there's a design. The EQS sedan's design is polarizing, to say the least. On the EQS SUV, well, it's not great, but it's better. The bulbous design language that they're using on their EVs actually looks nicer when the vehicle is taller. Mercedes-Benz is still in the middle of its EV transformation, but with every vehicle, it's getting better at transferring what it's learned from the gas world to the EV world. Currently, the EQS SUV is the best luxury in an EV that Mercedes has to offer, at least for now. For more automotive coverage next to a bulbous SUV, be sure to subscribe to Engadget.